If you buy a leasehold property, then you will probably have to pay a ground rent. Historically, those ground rents were low, something like £50 a year. Over the last 10 to 15 years, they've started to increase and become onerous. About 10 to 15 years ago, the large home builders decided to increase ground rents. It's not known why, other than that they knew that it was a lucrative form of income for them that they could sell on. Onerous clauses can be classed as anything that includes a doubling clause, so the rent doubles over so many years, or it can be calculated by reference to the retail prices index, so it goes up with the rate of inflation. A good example of an onerous clause is a doubling clause. It can start low at £250 per year, but if it doubles every 10 years, and after 60 years, that's up to £16,000 a year. A ground rent of £16,000 a year is simply not affordable for the average person. The issue with the onerous ground rent problem, along with the increased rent, is the ability to be able to sell on the property. Many banks and building societies will simply not grant a mortgage over properties that are subject to an onerous ground rent. Here at Nelson's, we're looking at ground rent claims, and that's specifically claims against the conveyancing solicitor who acted on the client's behalf. We think there's 100,000 people who could be affected by onerous ground rent clauses. Each one of those could be entitled to compensation. We think that the advice that they've received has been below par, in fact negligent. Home builders are still selling properties on a leasehold basis, and they still sell them with ground rent clauses in them. We think the majority of people who purchase new build properties that have onerous ground rents are first-time buyers. It's also likely, from what we've seen, that the majority of these people did not receive adequate advice from their solicitor. If you have purchased a property in the last 6 years, it's really important that you check your lease to see whether or not there's an onerous ground rent. Your conveyancing solicitor should have explained all the ramifications of the ground rent clauses when they advised you. If they failed to do that, then you may have a claim against them. If you do have a claim against your solicitor, then you have two options. The first option is to claim for the diminution in value or the overpayment that you've made as a result of that bad advice. The second way of assessing loss is the cost of curing the problem. So there are options open to you to be able to extend your lease, which would reduce the ground rent to zero, and thereby getting rid of the problem. A claim against your conveyancing solicitor will be subject to a 6-year time limit. That's 6 years usually from the date you exchange your contracts. However, there are additional time limits you can rely on, normally 3 years from when you actually discovered there was a problem. The first time that you may be aware that there's an actual problem is when your ground rent doubles for the first time. This could be after 10 or 15 years. However, every claim is subject to a maximum of 15 years. At Nelson's, we have a specialist team who can help you with these claims. We have a dedicated team that deals with not only the mis-selling side of the claim, but also in terms of conveyancing and property, who can check a lease and tell you quickly and efficiently whether or not there's a problem. If you are a leaseholder who has a ground rent clause and you're not sure whether or not it's onerous, please contact us. We can help you, we can advise you quickly and efficiently and tell you how to go about claiming compensation.